Urban legends are honestly some of the creepiest horror concepts ever because they feel like stories somebody could have actually told you growing up. Like when you're a kid and someone tells you not to say a certain name into a mirror, or warns you not to go into certain woods at night, or tell you about a creature that locals swear is real. And the scariest part is a lot of these movies make these legends feel believable. So today we're diving into 5 urban legends or movies with a lot of lore that you need to watch. Movies filled with folklore, urban legends, creepy backstories, and terrifying mysteries that slowly unravel the deeper you get into them. And trust me, some of these might make you think twice about exploring the woods ever again or testing an urban legend for yourself. And one of these might actually be real. So let's get started. Our first movie is Candyman from 1992. Man, I absolutely love this movie. The first time I watched it, I was just thinking of so many ideas, just thinking of the backstory behind Candyman. It's so interesting because it's a perfect example of horror movies built around urban legends, and this is a real urban legend. And once the mystery starts unraveling, you get sucked into the lore behind Candyman himself. And it makes you kind of want to go try it for yourself, but you probably shouldn't. The story follows Helen, a graduate student researching urban legends and local myths when she investigates the terrifying story of Candyman, a supernatural figure people claim appears if you say his name 5 times into a mirror. But the deeper she digs into the legend, the more dangerous things become as she realizes this story might actually be real. What makes the story so fun is how it explores the background and mythology behind Candyman, and it slowly unravels this, and you figure it out as well as with the characters. It reminds me of growing up hearing these Bloody Mary stories, which I believe is a derivative from Candyman because it's kind of the same idea. You say a name into a mirror a certain amount of times, and I think that's so terrifying because it stems from people being scared of mirrors, and then saying a name into a mirror, it's like the mirror is cursed itself. And that's just an idea that's been passed down for a while. We've actually tried Bloody Mary a few times growing up, so it was always terrifying. And then finding this movie, it was like, okay, this is awesome. But this movie taps into that childhood fear of like, what if this is actually real? But you're so curious, you still want to try it out. But if it is real, then you're cooked, so you're in kind of a pickle. And honestly, the atmosphere in this movie is incredible, and the score is incredible as well. It creates this feeling that is just so intriguing. It's creepy, psychological, and still has some awesome kills in there. Fun fact, the movie's entire concept is built around urban legend culture and the power of belief. The idea of summoning Candyman through a mirror became one of the most iconic horror legends ever, and the film's deeper backstory gives the character way more depth than most slasher villains. You can watch Candyman on Netflix and Tubi. Our second movie is Frogman from 2023. This movie completely surprised me. I went into Frogman with literally zero expectations, just turned it on for free. I just thought it was going to be a random found footage movie that I found on Tubi, but honestly this ended up being such a fun time, and I wanted to rewatch it instantly. The story follows a guy who becomes obsessed with proving that he really saw the legendary Frogman creature as a kid in Loveland, Ohio. Nobody believes his story, so years later he returns with a camera crew to finally prove the creature is real. But the deeper they dig into the woods surrounding Loveland, the stranger and scarier things become. I just love the whole folklore vibe this movie has going on for it. The town fully embraces the Frogman legend, and you see decorations, signs, and people casually asking about it like it's just part of the town's culture. It honestly feels like one of those weird urban local legends you'd hear growing up, maybe while you're driving past an old town, a small town. You hear these legends, or maybe from kids from other towns will tell you these weird, creepy legends while you're riding around on bikes, and it just gives that vibe, and it's so creepy. And honestly, the Frogman design itself is actually pretty well done and pretty creepy. The movie balances being weird, surprisingly fun, and terrifying all really well. Fun fact, the movie's based on the real Loveland Frogman urban legend from Ohio, which has been around for decades. That's what makes this movie so fun, because it feels rooted in actual local folklore instead of something completely made up. You can stream Frogman on Sling TV for free. Our third movie is Butterfly Kisses from 2018. Man, this movie genuinely creeped me out. I tried to turn it on at 1 a.m. and that might have been a mistake. It's one of those found footage movies that completely catches you off guard because you expect something low budget and simple, and then now you're just hooked in the story and you want to know what happens next. The story follows a filmmaker who discovers a collection of mysterious found footage tapes hidden inside a house he recently moved into. The tapes document a terrifying urban legend surrounding a figure known as Peeping Tom, a creepy entity connected to a tunnel where people have supposedly have to stare into darkness for an hour without blinking. As the filmmaker becomes obsessed with proving the footage is real, things slowly spiral out of control. This movie just does such a good job at building paranoia and just panic. The imagery of the dark tunnel alone is terrifying, especially when the camera just sits there staring into the darkness, waiting for something to appear. Like, it's kind of acting as if the camera, when it's filming down this tunnel, that you are the person staring down this tunnel. So it's kind of like if you were to stare down this tunnel for an hour through the camera, you might get cursed as well. So it gives that creepy vibe. And also it's scary at the beginning when they're just asking random people on the streets questions about butterfly kisses. Like, what is it? What does this mean? Who is Peeping Tom? And everyone is just giving these fun answers, but then some people give like terrifying real answers, and it's just such a fun, diverse of people they're interviewing, and it makes it feel real and more scary. And honestly, what makes this movie feel so fun and unique is how it plays with the idea of nobody else believing that this is real except for the person that found this footage and is trying to make this into a movie. Even conspiracy theorists in the movie doubt him, which makes everything feel more frustrating and unsettling as he becomes more obsessed. It kind of gives those vibes similar to the Blair Witch Project, kind of asking the question, what if the director of that movie was trying to convince people, even after they found out it was fake, that this is real, this is real, this is real, and having to go prove it himself as the only route to actually, if he wanted to prove it that bad, he has to go try out there and do it himself, which is scary. The urban legend in this movie honestly feels like a real suburban myth kids would dare each other to try growing up. The whole don't blink while staring down the tunnel concept is such a simple idea, but it becomes unbelievably creepy once the movie starts exploring it. And just looking down that tunnel is so terrifying. You can watch Butterfly Kisses on Pluto TV for free. Our fourth movie is The Blair Witch Project from 1999. Alright, I had to include The Blair Witch Project on this list, come on now. It literally helped define this entire style of horror. When people think about folklore, backwoods, getting lost in the woods, urban legend, folklore, myth type of movies, this one set the stage. The story follows a group of student filmmakers traveling into the woods to investigate the legend of the Blair Witch for a documentary project. But after getting deeper into the forest, strange things begin happening around them, and they slowly realize they may not be alone out there. I honestly think this movie gets misunderstood by people who say it's boring and that nothing happens, because the horror here is psychological. The woods are messing with the characters' minds. It's not something that we can see physically, but inside these characters' minds, they're getting lost, they're getting confused, frustrated, because the witch is messing with their brain. And the deeper they go, the more reality starts breaking apart around them. The idea that the witch twists this forest itself so they can't escape and so they get lost is so terrifying. It's not about constant jump scares, it's about confusion, isolation, paranoia, and feeling completely trapped until you actually get to see something at the end. And honestly, seeing the way this movie was marketed back when it first came out is just so insane and interesting, because people really believe this was real at a certain point in time. I wish I could experience it. I didn't get to, but it's just still so cool. Fun fact, the Blair Witch Project itself became one of the most iconic fictional urban legends in horror history. The movie's realistic marketing campaign completely changed found footage horror forever and inspired an entire generation of folklore-based horror movies after it. You can watch The Blair Witch Project on HBO Max. Our fifth movie is Willow Creek from 2013. Now honestly, I can't sit here and say that Willow Creek is some masterpiece or anything like that. But when it comes to Bigfoot lore and folklore horror, I mean, this just fits right in there. The story follows a couple traveling to the famous woods surrounding Willow Creek in Northern California to investigate the local legend of Bigfoot. The boyfriend is obsessed with proving the creature is real, but the deeper they travel into the forest, the more uncomfortable and dangerous things start to feel. What I really like is how it leans into the culture of the area and the actual folklore itself. You see the towns embracing the myth with decorations and souvenirs, while the locals living closer to the woods seem genuinely uncomfortable talking about it. The contrast makes the movie feel more believable, because that's exactly how it would play out in real life. People that aren't involved are going to be interested in making money off there, just having fun off of it, while the people who are literally in there and it lives in their backyard, they're not going to be wanting to talk about it or help you go investigate it because they know it's real. And honestly, there's a long sequence, it's like 10 minutes long, where they're just trapped inside the tent where weird things are happening around them, and it gets kind of terrifying, but it might go on for a little bit too long if I'm being honest. And the acting might not be the best in here, but you got to embrace it and it'll be a fun time. Fun fact, the movie was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, and it takes inspiration from the real-life Bigfoot lore surrounding Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. The setting itself plays a huge role in making the story feel authentic. You can watch Willow Creek on Tubi for free. So there are 5 folklore horror movies that you need to watch, but my top pick for sure is Butterfly Kisses from 2018. This movie literally caught me off guard. I went into it expecting just another low budget found footage movie, and then suddenly I was completely hooked, like genuinely hooked. The whole Peeping Tom urban legend is honestly terrifying. The idea that every time you blink, he gets closer to you is such a simple concept, but it works so unbelievably well. It honestly gives me vibes similar to stuff like It Follows or Smile, where the horror feels unavoidable and constantly creeping towards you. And I'm telling you, the tunnel imagery and scenes that involve that dark tunnel are nightmare fuel. Just staring down that tunnel waiting for something to appear is so creepy and unsettling, and it's just not good. Especially if you to watch this late at night, like 1 a.m. by yourself. And what makes this movie so believable is how real the urban legend actually feels. It genuinely sounds like one of those weird local stories kids in the suburban neighborhood would dare each other to try growing up. Like you would go up to your friends and be like, try staring down that tunnel for an hour, or Peeping Tom will come for you. It's urban legend horror at its absolute best. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely go recommend taking it out. It's literally one of the most underrated found footage horror movies out there, and definitely when it comes to folklore horror, it's up there at the top. If you've seen any of these, let me know down in the comments below, and let me know which ones I missed. Like seriously, put me on. I adore the folklore type of horror movies, especially the found footage ones. I think they're so fun. I really got into them a few months ago, so if you got any, drop them in the comments. Please drop a like and hit that subscribe button, or you have to stare deep into the Peeping Tom tunnel for an hour straight. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have a blessed day, and peace!